Charmides by Plato, Day 3. True. Is it not then better to understand what is said, whether at the writing masters or the music masters, or anywhere else, not as quietly as possible, but as quickly as possible? So Socrates is trying to refute that being temperate is being slow. It's temperate, right? I will get to it. Yes. And further, in the searchings or deliberations of the soul, not the quietest, as I imagine, and he who with difficulty deliberates and discovers is thought worthy of praise, but he who does so most easily and quickly. Quite true, he said. Well then, in all that concerns either body or soul, swiftness and activity are clearly better than slowness and quietness. Probably. Then temperance is not quietness, nor is the temperate life quiet. Certainly not upon this view, for the life which is temperate is admitted to be good. I can see why this boy thought that the quiet life is the temperate life. The simple life. I quite like the quiet life. And of the two things, one is true. Either never or very seldom do the quiet action in life appear to be better than the quick and energetic ones, or supposing at the best that of the nobler actions there are so many quiet as quick and vehement. Still, even if we grant this, temperance will not be acting quietly any more than acting quickly and energetically, either in walking or talking or in anything else. Nor will the quiet life be more temperate than the unquiet, seeing that temperance was placed by us among the good and noble things, and the quick have been shown to be as good as the quiet. I have to think of Marcus Aurelius now, a soldier, very active life, not quiet at all, but quite devoted to temperance, I think. I think you are right, Socrates, he said. Then once more, Charmides, I said, fix your attention more closely and look within you. Consider the effect which temperance has upon yourself, and the nature of that which should have this effect. Think over all of this and tell me truly and courageously, what is temperance? It's so funny, I was just realized. Since I started reading Charmides, I've had a headache, and I usually don't have headaches, so I think that's funny. After a moment's pause, in which he made real manly effort to think, he said, my opinion, Socrates. I should probably pause now and make a manly effort to think myself. My opinion, Socrates, that temperance makes a man ashamed or modest, and that temperance is the same as modesty. Very good, I said. And did not you admit just now that temperance is noble? Yes, certainly, he said. And therefore the temperate men are good men. Yes. And can that be good which does not make men good? Certainly not. And you would infer that temperance is not only noble, but also good. That is my opinion. Well, I said, but surely you would agree with Homer when he says, modesty is not good for a needy man. Yes, he said, I agree. Then I suppose that modesty is and is not good. apparently. Why not focus on the fact that modesty is good for a needy man and a noble man is not a needy man? Or maybe a noble man is a needy... I don't know. Then I suppose that modesty is and is not good, apparently. But temperance, whose presence makes men only good and not bad, is always good. That appears to me to be as you say. That is a question, actually. Is a virtue always good? Is honesty always good? And the inference is that temperance cannot be modesty, if temperance is good and if modesty is as much an evil as a good. All that, Socrates, appears to me to be true. But I should like to know what you think about another definition of temperance, which I have just remembered that I heard from someone. I love how exciting this boy is getting. Temperance is doing our own business. Ooh, that's a slap in Socrates' face. Please consider whether he was right who affirmed this. You wicked boy, I said. This is what Critias or some other philosopher has told you. Someone else, then, said Critias, for certainly I have not. So John is always saying that Socrates refutes both personal opinion and the arguments or definitions given by third parties. This is what's happening now. The latter. But what matter, said Charmides, for whom I heard this. No matter at all, I replied, for the point is not who said the words, but whether they are true or not, which might be nice to remember in academic circles nowadays. There you are in the right, Socrates, he replied. To be sure, I said, yet I should be surprised if we are able to discover their truth or falsehood, for they are a kind of riddle. What makes you think so, he said. Because, I said, he who uttered them seems to me to have meant one thing and said another. Is the schoolmaster, for example, to be regarded as doing nothing when he reads or writes? I should rather think that he was doing something. And does the schoolmaster write or read, or teach you boys to write or read, his own name only? Or did you write your enemy's name as well as your own and your friends? As much one as the other. Oh, good example. And was there anything meddling or intemperate in this? Certainly not. And yet you were doing what was not your own business, if reading and writing are a form of doing. But they certainly are. And the healing art, my friend, and building and weaving, and doing anything whatever which is done by art. These all clearly come under the head of doing. Certainly. And do you think that a state would be well ordered by a law which compelled every man to weave and wash his own coat, and make his own shoes and his own flask and strigil and other implements, on the principle of everyone doing and performing his own and abstaining from what is not his own? Distributed cognition, something like that? I think not, he said. But, I said, a temperate state will be a well-ordered state. Of course, he replied. Then temperance, I said, will not be doing one's own business. Not at least in this way, or doing things of this sort. It seems not. Then, as I was just now saying, you declared that temperance is a man doing his own business, had a hidden meaning, for I do not think that he could have been such a fool as to mean this. Was he a fool who told you, Charmides? Nay, he replied. I certainly thought him a very wise man. Then I am quite certain that he put forth this definition as a riddle, thinking that no one could easily discover the meaning of the words, doing his own business. I have to think now of Socrates and his irony. So he can see another teaching ironically, saying words that he doesn't quite mean to elicit thinking and digging on the listener's part for himself and discovering a truth. I dare say, he replied, discovering a truth through that which is not quite true. Ironically spoken. And what is the meaning of the man doing his own business? Can you tell me? Indeed, I cannot. And I should not wonder if the man himself who used this phrase did not understand what he meant. Whereupon he laughed slyly and looked at Critias. Critias had been long showing uneasiness, for he felt that he had a reputation to maintain with Charmides and the rest of the company. He had, however, hitherto managed to restrain himself, but now he could no longer forbear. And I am convinced of the truth of the suspicion which I entertained at the time, that it was from Critias that Charmides had heard this answer about temperance. And Charmides, who did not want to defend it himself, but to make Critias defend it, tried to stir him up. He went on pointing out that he had been refuted, at which Critias grew angry and appeared, as I thought, inclined to quarrel with him. Just as a poet might quarrel with an actor who spoiled his poems in reciting them. Okay, quick refresh. Charmides is this beautiful boy and everybody's madly in love with him. So of course, Critias wants to make a good impression on the poor little boy. And now Socrates is making a fool of him in the eyes of this beautiful boy, Charmides. Yeah. Things become clearer when you read Plato. Just as a poet might quarrel with an actor who spoiled his poems in reciting them. I hope I never did a poet that injustice. So he looked hard at him and said, "Do you imagine, Charmides, because you do not understand the meaning of this definition of temperance, that its author likewise did not understand the meaning of his own words?" So Critias is asking Charmides, "Do you imagine, Charmides, because you do not understand the meaning of this definition of temperance, that its author likewise did not understand the meaning of his own words?" Defense mechanism. Why, at his age, I said, most excellent Critias, he can hardly be expected to understand. But you, who are older and have studied, may well be assumed to know the meaning of them. And therefore, if you agree and accept his definition of temperance, I would much rather argue with you than with him about the truth or falsehood of the definition. Very sly of Socrates, not calling him out per se, but getting him to have to defend his own theory. "I entirely agree," said Critias, "and accept the definition." "Very good," I said. "And now let me repeat my question. Do you admit, as I was just now saying, that all craftsmen make or do something?" I do. And I do think I should stop there for the day. Have a beautiful day.